don't count him out. I think that's a very dangerous fight for Jake Paul. But at the end of the day, we could have a big upset, But I think that AJ is too much for Jake Paul at this point, and he's bigger than Jake Paul, in my opinion.
AJ is 1-0 against these guys that come in to these boxing careers late. So why not? He's a perfect guy to take him out too. You took Ngannou out. Why would you not take Jake Paul out?
This might be a step too far. Now, when I say it, I'm also, I try to be responsible. I've been in this game 50 years, so I know where not to step, where you could twist an ankle, or worse, you could break a leg or fall down.
If I can beat Jake Paul, then excuse my French, what the f*** is Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there.
Boxing pros are weighing in on the shocking Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua matchup, and the opinions couldn't be more divided. Many analysts argue that Joshua's size, championship experience, and Olympic background give him an overwhelming edge. They predict that if AJ applies steady pressure, the fight could end early. Others point to Jake Paul's rapid improvement, structured training camps, and his willingness to take on bigger challenges. They believe he could potentially steal rounds with movement, timing, and counterpunching. Still, the majority of experts see Joshua as a clear favorite due to his power, technique, and high-level ring IQ. Despite this, the hype around Jake Paul keeps the fight intriguing, with fans eager to see whether he can shock the world again. Tommy Fury, however, views the matchup as completely one-sided. He emphasizes the massive size and pedigree difference, noting that elite heavyweights spend decades developing fight-ending power that lighter fighters, and especially newcomers, can't truly grasp. In his opinion, the physical gulf alone makes this a fight Jake Paul simply cannot win, no matter how much he has improved.
Can beat Jake Paul, then excuse my French, what the f*** is Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there, it still wouldn't go past a minute. To be quite honest with you, and as a safety aspect, there's no way that fight can go ahead. At the end of the day, my God, how good does it make me look? He gets beat by Jake Paul. That automatically makes me two-time heavyweight champion of the world, doesn't it? There's no proper way. I've got to laugh about it. How are we even talking about this? He got his nut boxed off by me a little over 2 years ago, and now all of a sudden he's talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. It's like, come on. You can't be serious. He can't beat me. I'm not Anthony Joshua, am I? So
Derek Chisora approaches the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight from the perspective of toughness and real ring experience. Having faced nearly every major heavyweight of his era, Chisora evaluates Paul based on how fighters handle deep, dangerous moments. In his view, Paul has never been tested against true elite heavyweights, and the unforgiving nature of the division leaves no room for experimentation. Chisora predicts the fight will end quickly and decisively. The physical gap between Joshua and Paul, in his opinion, is so wide that the bout likely won't extend past 5 rounds. He believes Joshua's power, size, and technical foundation would overwhelm Paul long before the halfway mark. According to Chisora, the real question isn't whether Paul can survive, but rather how Joshua chooses to finish the fight. Any scenario in which the match goes beyond 5 rounds, he argues, would suggest Joshua held back or underperformed, given the stark contrast in experience and natural heavyweight strength.
And I know you say it's entertainment and there'll be a massive audience, but is there an element of danger as well? Look, AJ's a former world champion, and this is a guy, the best he's been in with is Tommy Fury.
Listen, he don't really care. In the boxing ring, it's the only place you can murder somebody and not go to jail. So, kudos to that. So if he gets beaten up and something happens, it's part of the game.
Well, I'm not sure that's a game that people will want to see, though.
Is it a real fight, though? Is this going to be a proper fight? You will know more than most.
Mate, let me tell you something. From how much they're getting paid, about 177 million, whatever, and they're splitting down the middle. So I hope it's not a game, because I want to see some blood. I want to see somebody's teeth falling out. So I told Anthony, I already messaged Anthony. I said, listen, I tell you what, I said to AJ, if this goes past 5 rounds, everybody's going to be having a go at you, because you can't go past 5 rounds with this kid. He has to go past 1 round or 2 rounds. Past beyond 4 or 5 rounds, you know, people are going to be doubting you as a fighter himself. So he has to smoke him out like what he did Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia in 1 round.
Yeah, and I think you're dead right. Is he worried about that? Is he worried about what happens, you know, if he doesn't see him off in the first round or the second round?
No, he's not worried about it. He's going to smoke this guy out. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to smoke this guy out properly. I'll be there. He's going to smoke him. I can't wait.
Theoretically, if he comes out swinging, right, AJ should be able to get it done in are we talking 30 seconds? If AJ is giving it everything he's got.
Listen, if AJ comes in there and just blows on this kid, he's gonna just drop him to the floor. So I don't really. I'm just wasting money going to Miami because I know it's gonna be finished in 1 round. So don't know.
Are you gonna go?
Oh yeah.
Joseph Parker emphasizes professionalism and experience when analyzing the matchup. He notes that Anthony Joshua has spent years training with elite coaches and sparring against world-class opponents, building layers of technique that Jake Paul has not yet acquired. While Parker acknowledges Paul's courage and willingness to take on tough challenges, he believes Joshua's polish, physical strength, and ring experience make him far too formidable for someone still relatively new to professional boxing.
Al-Sheikh has said that he's interested in doing Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul.
Let's talk about fights that make sense. Jake Paul's doing whatever Jake Paul does. If Joshua's serious about wanting to stay in boxing, then fight good, real fights, if that's what you want to do. I mean, if you want to go down this other road and do this, then that's by all means do it. But it's a different journey and it's a different pathway. I think as fighters who've been in the game for a long time, I want real fights. If I was given the opportunity to fight Jake Paul, would I take it? No.
Not even for the money, no.
No, like I want to be champion of the world. That's my goal. And that's what.
Evander Holyfield evaluates the matchup by focusing on mentality and conditioning. He acknowledges Jake Paul's dedication to fitness and improvement, but considers Anthony Joshua far too experienced in enduring long, grueling bouts. Holyfield emphasizes that success in heavyweight boxing requires more than just punching. It demands the ability to withstand relentless physical pressure, something Joshua has mastered, and that makes him extremely difficult for Paul to overcome.
I would love to see that myself. I would love to see that fight. Interesting.
Who do you lean towards?
You know, it's just gonna be. It would just be a good fight. I'm telling you, it's a good fight, but you know, being the best. You know, because my whole thing, I don't want nobody to think I want somebody. I like boxing, and whoever wins.
David Ben Sr. offers striking evaluation of the upcoming fight, leaving fans surprised. He warns that Jake Paul is entering uncharted danger, where the matchup could reveal the limits of his rapid rise in boxing. According to Ben's, Anthony Joshua's size, strength, and championship experience create a scenario in which Paul risks serious harm if he is not exceptionally cautious. He notes that no amount of confidence or power will fully prepare Jake for facing a seasoned heavyweight who has competed at the sport's highest level.
Don't count him out. You know, I think that's a very dangerous fight for Jake Paul. But at the end of the day, you know, we could have a big upset, you know. But I think that AJ is too much for Jake Paul at this point, and he's bigger than Jake Paul, in my opinion.
Do you think it's competitive? A lot of people are saying if AJ doesn't get him out of there in 2 rounds, it'll be a huge embarrassment.
I don't think that's not the case, that he's gonna get Jake Paul. At the end of the day, Jake Paul has been training hard too, and you know, he's a pretty good fighter. I don't think he would take him out in 2-3 rounds. I think maybe in the later rounds, or it might go to decision, you know, but I don't think that Jake Paul can take AJ out. I mean, or AJ could take Jake Paul. Maybe, you know, but I don't know. It's just going to be an exciting fight. I think I want.
Roy Jones Jr. provided a clear perspective on the matchup, emphasizing that the fight must make sense for Anthony Joshua both in the ring and financially. He reminded fans of Joshua's credentials as a former world champion and highlighted his dominant performances against top-tier opponents like Francis Ngannou and others. Jones suggested that anyone expecting a non-professional like Jake Paul to defeat Joshua is seriously underestimating the challenge.
I want to change subjects just a little bit here. And Anthony Joshua, there's rumours circulating he could be fighting Jake Paul next. 1, do you think it's good for boxing? And 2, do you think the fight will happen?
I think it's great for boxing. I think the fight will happen. AJ is 1-0 against these guys that come in to these boxing careers late. So why not? He's a perfect guy to take him out too. He took Ngannou out. Why would he not take Jake Paul out? And for him, he'd probably make more money fighting Jake Paul than he will fight anybody else that he can fight right now. So why would he not do it? I mean, not that he needs the money right now anyway, but if he's going to do something, if you want to get a good win to put him back on the scene, that's a perfect win.
Lawrence Okoli expressed strong concern over Jake Paul's potential fight with Anthony Joshua, highlighting serious safety risks. Although he has previously sparred with Paul and acknowledged his dedication and mindset, Okoli believes that taking on Joshua, known for his elite power and technique, would create a dangerous mismatch. Other boxing figures share similar worries. Promoter Eddie Hearn described a matchup as extremely risky, while Frank Warren pointed to Joshua's clear physical advantage. Former world champion Amir Khan also cautioned Paul, warning that the fight could have severe consequences if he underestimated the threat.
On this nonsense?
Where am I? I can't see it happening. I can't. Although yes, lots of money, so on and so forth. I can't see it. I just can't. It just obviously as someone who's been a unified heavyweight world champion going in against Jake, but it just doesn't sit right. Yeah, and it's like I'm also talking from a health and safety factor. It's like he's maybe a cruiserweight. Yeah. I think Joshua's a very big, strong heavyweight, and if he turns it on, it's not just a risk of a knockout. It's a much bigger risk. So I can't see it personally.
Former UFC fighter turned boxer Darren Till voiced strong support for Jake Paul, criticizing Saudi promoter Turki Al-Shik as hypocritical and dismissing his commentary. Till highlighted that Paul enters the fight with minimal risk, while emphasizing that Anthony Joshua can be vulnerable under pressure. He pointed out Paul's mental toughness as a potential advantage, suggesting that if the fight happens, it could play a key role in the outcome.
Past Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, as much as he's a monster, he's got a weak mind, hasn't he? So Jake could end up getting into it because Jake's got everyone eating out the palm of his hand. He's a very clever man, so...
You really think he's got a chance?
Why wouldn't he have a chance? Look how confident he is. I mean, come on. Like, Anthony would have all the pressure in the world, and if Anthony didn't do him with the first few punches, he'd start doubting himself in his head, because that's what he does. But no, Anthony should win, shouldn't he?
What do you make of Tyson Fury saying that he's going to put $1 million bet on Jake winning by knockout?
Tyson to leg it, lad. He's retired about 50 times. What's he on about, mate? Just tell him to leg it, and I love him. If he walked in here, I'd obviously...
At one point, you were good friends.
I'm still good friends, but obviously, if he walked in here, I'd act like I'm not talking about him. But then, on the camera, I'm talking, you know? Is this not what we're on? Is everyone not fake, or no? We all... What are we on here? Are we all acting like we don't hate each other? Like, come on. Like, what?
You're on absolute smoke today.
Mouth, Tyson.
Many analysts view Jake Paul's choice to face Anthony Joshua as extremely risky, possibly the biggest gamble of his career. Taking on a former heavyweight champion puts him in a situation where Joshua's size, strength, and experience could turn even small mistakes into serious consequences. Experts warn that a loss, especially by knockout, could harm Paul's credibility in boxing and slow the momentum he has gained against less experienced opponents. Beyond the competitive aspect, a decisive defeat might also impact his public image, as casual fans and critics could see him as overextending himself.
Has lost his mind. This is probably the worst mistake of his career. Even in the poster, you can see this is a David and Goliath story here. I mean, there's times where I thought Jake is a cruiserweight. There's times where I thought even he could be a light heavyweight. And now he's stepping in with one of the most chiseled, bona fide heavyweights in the world right now in Anthony Joshua. I'm about to break the internet over Jake Paul's face. I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but it sounds fucking demented, terrifying. And speaking of the insanity of this thing, here is what the first line is. Jake as a plus 800. I have a feeling that's going to shift even more toward AJ. AJ's the 18-wheeler going 90 down the straightaway, and Jake is in a fucking golf cart going 10 miles an hour, headed right back at the 18-wheeler. It's going to be freaking destruction. Look at the reach. He's got a 6-inch reach on Jake, and trust me, the Chloe concept has told me the 6 inches is more.
Duke McKenzie, a former 3-weight world champion and ex-ITV boxing commentator, expressed strong concerns about Anthony Joshua facing Jake Paul. He criticized the growing trend of YouTubers and MMA fighters crossing into boxing, describing it as risky and potentially dangerous. McKenzie specifically referenced Joshua's past fight with ex-UFC champion Francis Ngannou, suggesting that such matchups could have ended badly and that opponents of that caliber shouldn't step into the ring with a heavyweight like Joshua.
Hearn has confirmed that they are actually in talks to have this fight before a possible fight against Fury.
Well, Eddie Hearn's a promoter, first and foremost, and he's in the business of making money. I'm not so sure he's even thinking about anybody's, getting hurt or anything like that. That hasn't even entered his head. But it should, because somebody could easily lose their life.
That's quite a concern, isn't it? I mean, that should be the forefront of everybody's mind.
I think so. I think there's the fight business, and then there's the fight game, and the way they're talking about it, they're talking about it like it's a game. I don't think Anthony Joshua would take Jake Paul lightly, any way, shape, or form, and it'd be so easy to hit. You're talking about a trained athlete.
Tony Jeff, a former Olympic boxer and respected analyst, offered an unexpected perspective on Jake Paul's chances against Anthony Joshua. He emphasized that Paul's key advantages aren't in size or experience, but in his youth, confidence, and momentum. While Joshua has faced tough battles and public scrutiny for years, Paul approaches each fight with a fresh, fearless mindset. Jeff also noted Paul's rapid development in the sport, highlighting his disciplined training with top-level coaches, sparring against high-caliber opponents, and showing a level of power and skill that has surprised many observers.
And I just want to look at the tail of the tape. Now, looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got talking about experience and everything else, what comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then, like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. They'll come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pounds versus 252 pounds. We got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had one, where AJ's had 43, but 43 of them are included at the highest level, Olympic level. And yes, he won the Olympic bloody gold medal, if I don't need to remind you. Now, in the pro record, Jake Paul has had 13 fights, lost 1. AJ has had 28 fights, and he's lost 4 with 25 KOs. And the one person that Jake Paul lost to was Tommy Fury. Now, can we compare Tommy Fury with Anthony Joshua? Not.
Many fans and analysts have praised Jake Paul for boldly stepping up to face Anthony Joshua. Tyson Fury even described the matchup as a 50-50 fight, a view that surprised many in the boxing world. Fury points to Paul's rapid progress, growing confidence, and relentless work ethic, suggesting that these traits make him a more formidable opponent than some traditional boxing observers expect. He also highlighted Paul's timing, power, and risk-taking mindset, which could potentially pose challenges for Joshua, especially given his occasional vulnerabilities under pressure in past bouts.
About possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why so? What impresses you about Jake Paul?
I just think Jake Paul would knock AJ out. I think AJ's a spent force, and I think Jake Paul's on the rise. And I like his new heavyweight look. A bit chubby, bit bulky.
Even critics who think he's outmatched recognize the bravery required for a natural cruiserweight and relatively inexperienced boxer to face a former unified heavyweight champion. Supporters point out that Jake Paul is consistently pushing limits, refusing to take the safe path that many expected from an influencer-turned-professional fighter.
Goes Jake Paul. The cojones this motherfucker has, from a Disney kid to YouTube to he can fight anyone and get views and make fucking money. This crazy wild boy sends out the bat signal, the British bat signal for Anthony motherfucking Joshua. You know how crazy that is? I will say this. I don't think any of Jake Paul's fights are fixed in any capacity. At all. Not even close. I don't get down that narrative. I will say this, though. My spidey senses will go off if Anthony Joshua doesn't absolutely mop the floor with him.
It could even be close to being done, to being signed. And like I say, don't be shocked when this happens, because like we say, there's going to be a lot of people that criticize it, but ultimately there's going to be a boatload of money to be the promoters, Eddie, Nick, the MVP. There's so much money involved in that fight, and if you're Anthony Joshua, it's a no-brainer. If anyone criticizes Anthony Joshua, you're a fool.
But Anthony, I mean, I've got to say this as well.
that even though I don't think the fight should be sanctioned, I don't really want to see him in the ring against Tony Yoka. I don't think it does anything for him. If he fights anyone, he should be fighting Tyson Fury.
It's not,
in my view, it should be a fight with Tyson Fury. That's as big a behemoth, as big a commercial beast. Absolutely. You're going to tell me that Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul is bigger than Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury?
It is, commercially. Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul commercially is bigger. But what I'm saying is, as a British boxing fan, and the amount of times
you need to see Fury and Joshua.
I've been sat even in this very studio. I've been asked about Tyson Fury against AJ. We have to see that fight before both of those two men sail off. I know Tyson Fury's retired and he unretires, he retires and he unretires, but we have to see that fight for British boxing. They both owe the Brit.
Which fighter do you see taking the victory, Jake Paul or Anthony Joshua?